Haijawa rahisi kufika hapa, ni mkono wa Mungu umenibeba.
My name is Wanjiku Mumenya. A very brief overview of my education background. I went to an ordinary public primary school and did the necessary examinations of the time. I proceeded to a girls' boarding school, also a public school, and studied very well. I enjoyed my entire life in high school. I made many friends. I learned a lot of things, and as expected, there was an exam, a national exam, and after the national exam, if one passed well, they were proceeding to advanced level school. So I passed well and proceeded to advanced level, which was a 2-year program. And that time, one had to choose the subjects very carefully under the guidance of the career masters or mistress. And if you chose the sciences, you either chose inclusive of biology, where it was leading to a medical career, and if you chose mathematics, physics, it was leading to engineering and such related fields. So I chose mathematics, physics, and chemistry, which naturally led me to a career in engineering. At the end of the 2-year advanced level, I sat a national exam and passed, and was admitted to the University of Nairobi to study a Bachelor of Science degree in civil engineering. And these were 3 years of very interesting experience because I was alone in my class of around 70 students, and I was the only girl. So you can imagine the experience, very exciting, but strange at the same time. Having gone through a girls' boarding school, the A-level was different, and now you find yourself in the university with the boys only. But they were very helpful. It was a good experience because I was able to see another aspect of young people who are ready to help, ready to walk the challenging journey of studies, and able to really assist one another. So I progressed very well. I made very many friends who I still cherish up to today. From high school to university, you were like going from a very highly controlled environment to where it is free for all. So the aspect of self-discipline came in very handy, and that is what came out for me for my undergraduate course. After undergraduate, I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering honors, and I got a job with private consulting engineering firm. It was a very well-structured consulting engineering firm which used to do projects mainly for government, and the projects were not just for Kenya government, they were for the whole of the East African region. So there were projects in and outside Kenya. And why I say that the structure of this consulting firm was very good, because the management was very sensitive to training of young and fresh engineers. And each of the fresh engineer was attached to a qualified professional who was able to take the young engineer through the entire training process. And you used to be rotated from one section to the other. At that time, we didn't have AutoCAD for drawing, so the drawing was manual, so we could even interact with the draftsman. There was a whole department or section in each department which had draftsmen. And that was also quite interesting because all the drawings were done manually. So we revised. Of course, we had been taught how to draw. Drawing is one of the very major courses in an engineering course. And seeing it happening real time and for application in the field was quite interesting. The other experience that I really cherished was being able to go out to a virgin site, do the survey, work with the surveyors, come up with the levels, handle the levels, the theodolites, and come up with the contour. You contour the ground. It was quite interesting, especially when you had to design drainages and also to integrate the, the plans, the survey topographic plans with the architectural plans. I found that quite interesting because although surveying is taught as a course, it's a very major course in a civil engineering undergraduate program, seeing it happening and knowing that you're doing this because it's required by a client was also quite stimulating. The other very stimulating and interesting thing about an undergraduate, a young professional engineering course, was the fact that this company had this program of calling all engineers to a seminar at the end of the year and picking the young graduate engineers to demonstrate their work, to state what is it that they would want to do, what are the challenges, where do you need the improvement, and write a report. How did you solve the problem you encountered on site from an engineer's perspective? That was quite challenging. But the inspiring thing, which I would still want to recommend for any mentors to their mentees, is the importance of documenting. Every day we were actually advised, you must have a diary and jot down what is it today that you did in the office. It did not need to be very refined. Even if you just checked a code, a new code that has come in the market, and say this is the new thing, you compare it with the old one, that is a good experience. We were surprised that at the end of, say, like 12 to 16 months, it was mind-boggling what one had learned in those early years. So the first few years, one learns a lot. And remember, in this company, there was the program which was meant at the end, the deliverable was you should write a project report that is able to be submitted for professional engineers interview. So you can imagine now being looked at as a potential professional from just a student who, loudly, fun-loving, and now you are being expected to apply, to be subjected to an interview by these, experienced people in the field. The Engineer Board of Kenya had very experienced engineers on the panel. That was something that really kept us on our toes, and we could not afford to joke. We took it very seriously because of that deliverable. And thank God I was able to do that, progress quite well. And the lessons I learned are lessons that I still nurture up to today, of the challenging moments and times in the fields where you could ask some questions, some of them stupid, but it was allowed because you are learning. If you don't ask those stupid questions in the early career development, then you can imagine what it would look like if you've been working for 10, 15 years and you are still asking those teething problems. So it was very important for refining and tying all the loose ends to be able to be confident and put together a report and submit it and sit and appear for a professional interview, which I did and passed, thank God. And from there now I could append the name engineer, A-N-G, in front of the name. I was now engineer, and this is a requirement that before you append that name in front of your other names, you should have satisfied the Engineers Board of Kenya that you deserve that and that you are ready to take responsibility for whatever you do as an engineer. And that's having the title of engineer in front of your name is another beginning of another story, another game. Now, how do you proceed from there? There are many areas that one is able to fit as an engineer. You progress your career either as an employee, in government, in private, even as in the private sector. You can be a consultant, and you are allowed, the regulator allows you to be able to practice under that name of an engineer. Now, I have the privilege of also having accessed government scholarships to progress my education from the level of a bachelor's, and I was able to get a master's in structural engineering from the City University in London. I'm also an academician. I teach structural engineering and concrete materials at the University of Nairobi to both undergraduates and postgraduates. One of the requirements or areas that one needs to develop in the academic space, there are three. You are supposed to teaching your students, and examination is a core. You must also undertake research and publication. You must also undertake consultancy, because you cannot teach a professional course about things you don't also understand. And therefore, that is what you are evaluated with. Those three. I was able to do a PhD. Thank God I got a very good scholarship to the University of Cape Town, where I was based. And thank God I was able to finish successfully, and I was awarded a PhD in engineering and in the area of structural engineering and concrete-based materials. That is what I teach, I examine, and examining also means you can be an external examiner for other universities. On my channel, you'll be able to see the different themes. There is the theme of general construction. There's a theme for women engineers, because I'm also a woman and I have a soft spot for women, not just only in engineering, but all women, all cadre, because I know we have been gifted to be able to multitask, and we do a lot. There's also a theme on innovations, green technology and green designs, because with the climate change, we need to start thinking and holding conversations around there. And I never forget my students also, so I'll be also sharing in very basic language, mathematics for engineers, some of the concepts in some of the structures which are not very familiar, for example, plates and shells. So if you're interested in seeing explanations of some of the concepts that make students scratch their heads too much, then feel free to visit my channel, Education Without Borders by Wanjiku the Engineer. Like it and subscribe, and don't forget to click the comment button, and we shall engage with you more.